Welcome back guys, Harry here, known as Tradesharpe, and in today's video is a highly requested video. All the time on stream people say, Harry, where can I find your 3 entries that you always talk about, the playbook that you use, the entries that you use. You can see we use these entries on stream, you can see the track record, and it says setup 1, setup 2 and setup 3, and people are like, what is setup 1, what is setup 2, what is setup 3? Well, these are simple price action setups that I use in order to take trades, and there are more than 3 setups, but the 3 main ones are the most common, and it's what you're going to find happen a lot of the time. So this is going to be a very good video, and it's going to be a refresh of exactly how these 3 setups work. I'm going to make it concise, and I'm going to take you through how to implement these 3 setups, and that's the most important part, is the implementation. We're going to have a look at it, and I do have a free PDF with the setups on, so you guys can reference that. That is going to be found in the free Discord. So if you haven't joined the Discord already, it's a great resource. You have plenty of resources in there, great place to chat, great place to ask questions. So that's in the free Discord. Be sure to check that out, and you can get access to that free PDF. So that being said, let's get straight into the video. So as you guys know, before we start, can we do the YouTube business? You guys know who are returning. YouTube business is simple. Leave a like, and if you do end up enjoying this content, then consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. Really would appreciate getting the likes. Past 200 likes, I really would appreciate that. And of course, if you haven't already, drop me a follow on Instagram. Constantly posting content there and updates that you guys should be aware of. So it's just a great source for me to, in between these videos, be able to get updates and for you guys to see what's going on. So that being said, let me finish the YouTube business. You know what it's like, and let's get on to the charts, and let's go have a look at these 3 price action setups. Alright guys, so this is the price action PDF here, and this is what you can find in Discord. Now these entries won't make sense if you don't understand 2 concepts. You need to understand LTAs, you need to understand of course markup and session bias, because you must follow the trend. Example, session bias, you must be trading during times of volume, so 1 hour before the session, during the sessions, and it works on all time frames, but 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour is going to be best. And you have to know what an LTA is. You need to have clean candles on the left hand side when you're taking trades. We're going to look at that a little bit, but I do have separate videos on all of these topics which you can find on my channel, so be sure to go and check them out, so that this means this is absolutely clear for you. So the first setup now is going to be setup number 1. Now these are ranked in actually by popularity and how often they occur in the chart, and essentially for setup number 1, it's a very simple concept. When we identify in this example here that trend is bullish based on our session bias, we're bullish. Our markup has identified that buys do make sense, and we're reaching a time of volume. Essentially, if we're bullish, all we're looking for is to get continuation. So to get continuation, we need to find, okay, where can we take a trade? So we find the trading zone. So where's our trading zone going to be? Simply, our trading zone is going to be clean candle zone. So let's scroll back a little bit here and look at an example, right? Because that was caused by news, the one I just showed you, of where we have clean candle trading zones. This is a clean candle trading zone. These are clean candles. These are clean candles. All of these zones are clean candle trading zones where you can take entries, right? So if we understand that, essentially all we wait for is we wait for a range to form. And for me personally, I love executing on the 15-minute time frame. That seems best for me, allows me to catch all the moves. And how do we identify a range? It's just simply not a ranging market, but a range is a resistance and a support. And essentially all we do is wait for a close above that resistance to continue to the next resistance if we are bullish on that day. So then it ends up looking something like this, right? So we create the range, here's your support, here's your resistance. We wait for the 15-minute candle to close above the range. Stop loss goes below the candle low. Entry on the flip or break or high, and then I prefer break of high, and then you target the next resistance using the clean candles as your trading area. Why do we use clean candles? Well, it's simply because if price was able to move cleanly in the past, we can expect a clean move in the future. And that's simply as that. That's just looking to get to one point to another point. So if we take an example here, clean candles, here's your range, price closed above the range, you target the next zone, right? In this case, it rejected off this. This was a news candle, not the best example, but let's take something exactly like this. Here's your resistance, right? This is the candle that closed above. Here's your support, and then where do you target? The next range gonna be around the next resistance here, and that's your clean move. Setup number 1, clean and simple. And you can also go and see this in live practice by going through the stream journal. So if we look at setup number 1 here, and we just click the link, we can see them live taken, right? So it should be what we followed. Here's a range, support, price close below the support, target the next resistance, right? That's simple as that. We had clean candles here, an area of interest around somewhere here. This could be a break-even point, and these are adaptations that you can make as you get better. So essentially, that's how that setup number 1 works. Very clean and simple. Looking again, here's another one. Close above the range, looking to continue bullish to fill this LTA, right? So that's what you're looking to happen. So moving on to setup number 2 here. Setup number 2 is going to be mostly when we have trending moves, right? So if price is trending in a direction, let's say we're bullish here, and in this example again, sometimes you can't just keep buying the highs, right? You can't keep buying these highs. If price close here, you can't buy the high, you can't buy the high. You have to wait for some form of pullback to give you an entry. You can't simply just keep buying highs here. So what we do is when prices keep pushing in a certain direction, we want to wait for a pullback. That pullback essentially creates what? It creates our LTA. This creates our LTA and creates a target. And once a support is created, since we've identified that we are bullish, if we identify that we're bullish, that means that we expect price to do what? To go up. How are you guys going to identify we're bullish? From session bias. So I highly recommend with this video you watch the session bias video, and then these entries will make a lot of sense, because if we have a bullish session bias, you expect price to continue up. So any pullback should be an opportunity to continue to take buys. People start to get messed up when they start trying to trade 5-minute and they don't know when the pullback will end. The pullback will end, if you're correct with your analysis, when price creates a support. That support doesn't have to retest previous zones. It can happen wherever it wants. Once that support is created and you have a strong 15-minute candle closure, you can take a trade at the break of the high to fill that resistance, and that's realistically your target. If it fails there, that's outside of your control. If it closes above, guess what? You have a setup 1 and price is going to continue towards the upside most likely, and that's where you can look to hold the trades. So if we go have a look at examples of that, this is a pretty clear one, right? You can't keep buying the highs, right? Just recently, this happened yesterday, right? We started breaking out, we broke out of the range. Here's your setup number 1, close above the range, right? We broke out, and then what happens? We pull back here, and now not this candle, this is not a strong confirmation candle. You need a strong 15-minute close. As this candle closed, you can take a trade and target the highs, right? And your trade will look something like this, right? That will be a trade. Stop loss will go where? Below, basically wherever that point is, like this, and your target will be here, something like this, 1-to-1 at this point, because that's what the market gave you. You guys can't say, oh, I'm only going to target 1-to-2. No, the idea is to have a high win percentage on this. You can see all of the documented data that I have on this setups, and you can make a decision yourself. But if you have a high win percentage and you're winning most of the time, you don't need to worry about risk to reward, because you expect it to play out most of the time. So if the market only gave you 20 pips today, you're going to take 20 pips. There's no questions asked. Why would you miss out on 20 pips? Because it's not your risk to reward. Here's another perfect example. Price pull back here, support created, entry break of the high, actually a trade that was taken, right? Target the next zone, right? And you can scroll back in the charts, and let's see in like trending moves. And trending moves is very look, this is a big pullback, but if you're bullish, this is where people mess up, because they'd like, oh, this is a pullback, price is going to continue down. If you're bullish, once that support is created, you're going back up to the next resistance, right? So that's why it's super important to understand what is your session bias, right? Let's go see trending moves where price just trends. It's been ranging. We can look at a few bearish examples to train you guys' eyes. So this would be invalid. Why is this invalid, guys? Because it did pull back, but look where the next candle closed, at support. So the only way you can take this trade if it closed below support. So once it closes below, that's your entry opportunity, not selling right at support. But in this scenario here, yeah, you do have some space, 11 pips to get to the support. You make the decision if that's enough to take a trade. Personally, I would like normally a little bit more, right? And as I said, mostly setup 1 is coming here, and this is what you're going to find, right? You're going to find as we go through the setups, they become less often. This is mostly in trending moves. If you remember when GJ was trending like a bull and non-stop, you can see setup 2 happen all the time, right? Look, pullback, continue, pullback, continue, pullback. All of these pullbacks, like this is a perfect setup 2. You miss this push out, You can't just go FOMO and enter at the break of the high here. No, you have to wait for a pullback. Once that pulls back, you can enter, right? Again, same story here. You might have entered here, reached target, you gone break even or close profits, pull back deeper. Once you see that, you can go again, right? Pushes up, you can't enter, pull back, now you can enter again, closed above, you know it will continue, right? And then you can see how that starts to work. So that's setup number 2. If we go to the stream journal, see if we've taken any ones recently. Here we go. Let's have a look at how that looks, right? Setup number 2 basically here. Target the high. This was taking a bit of a later entry here. This is because it's on the 5, but this was the 15-minute close to target this area, right? And basically point to point, right? Made a quick decision. Let's find a clearer one here of setup number 2. See this one here. There we go. That's a very clean setup number 2. Price pulled back, created resistance, target the low. Very, very simple and clean. This is why the stream journal can be a great resource for you guys, right? On top of that, the last setup we're going to cover here is setup number 3, right? So setup number 3, let me pull that up for you guys, is basically a very, very important setup, because all it is sometimes we don't have enough time for price to pull back, create a support, then continue up. Sometimes price just wants to keep pushing, but we need to find a way in. And sometimes putting your stop loss, maybe this is a big fat candle here and it's too big to put your stop loss, or price has been pushing and you can't find a place to put a stop loss. So the best thing to do is wait for like a 15-minute pause candle, I call it, which just simply on lower time frames is like a pullback on the 5-minute. Once you see that rejection being left on the 15 and the 15 closes bearish, you can enter on the next candle breaking the high. Why? Because the previous candle before this red one gave you the confirmation that buys made sense. Until this is closing strong bearish or breaking the lows, it still makes sense to continue price bullish here, right? So let's go have a look at those examples to make it more clear. Something like this, right? So obviously you can't just keep entering it. It will work out, but most of the time it won't work out. The reason it won't work out is because you need the market to give you a slight break. You need a pause to make sure that, okay, price wants to continue in the intended direction. This one's a little bit more clear, right? So once you see this happen, and you know you have like, this is a news candle here, but if we look even behind here, you could say we have at least to trade to the bottom of the range here, right? Even if we disregard this news candle. But now we see this, okay, the price is paused here. Since we have a pause, what we can do is we can find a way to get in. At this point here, price could pull back wherever it wants to pull back to. Could pull back to here, could pull back all the way down here. And this is not what you want to be stuck in. But once we see a pullback formed, right, and price starts breaking the high, this is structure formed in here, and we expect if price is going to continue bullish, it's going to respect this structure. So instead of waiting for the whole pullback on the 15, we can impulsively enter on the break of the high here, right? And you can put your stop loss below that candle and you target the next zone. Yeah, this is negative RR, but remember that this is just an example I'm showing you because our target was only here. But if we have like, you know, you have to measure your target. Is it worth to take the trade? So if we go look at one of these trades where we actually have a decent target, right? Then we can look to, okay, how are we going to take this, you know, does it make sense to trade or not? So like this one right here, beautiful, decent target here, right? Closed above. Now you have huge range to trade, right? Break of the high, you have 27 pips and you enter break of the high, stop below this candle here, right? Go back and look for a trending move where it's hard to get in, and you'll find your entry opportunities are going to be when you get those type of things, right? Especially on downside moves as well. Like look at this. Like let's take this for example. This is a perfect example. How can you enter? Like we know we have an LTA here. Here's clean candles. We can target this zone here, but you can't enter after such a big candle. This candle here is 54 pips. You can't just sell after that. You need to wait for the market to do what? To give you some sort of pause. Once the market gives you that pause, entering at the break of the low is your option, because this is pausing, respecting this area, and you can trade down to here and get continuation, right? This could be a watch zone. You can turn this into a watch zone as long as it doesn't reject it. And you can see you're still fine. You would have been triggered and then boom, it pushed through it, right? So you would obviously be break even at this point because this is realistically your target, but you can use that to your advantage to try get into the zone. But now instead of holding stops 50 pips, you get to put your stops here. So let's go have a look at an example of a trade I've taken using that, and we're going to check out the stream journal here. So let's see setup number 3. There we go, perfect one, right? Look how clean that one is, right? Price close bearish, exactly like the PDF. If you were to put them side by side here, you could see exactly how you have that close, and then it actually looks almost identical, right? And then you get the push to TP, right? So this is all documented for you guys to see, and these are real entries that we actually use to take. So go ahead, back test these entries, consider applying them to your trading, right? And use the resources around you. I can't tell you how many people would be trying to sell you this in their course. I'm out here giving it for free and putting it in a concise video. So if you enjoyed that, please show some love and leave a like on this video, and check out the links below. If you want to get involved with more information, you can always consider joining the exclusives as well. You can have a look at all of that. But yeah, that's basically it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We did get through a lot here. It was very informative. Let me know in the comments if you did enjoy the video. I love to read them. That being said, take care, trade sharp, and hopefully catch you guys very soon. Peace.